Okay, so next one is simple, not complex. And we're going to do take one, and I'm going to put thrifty in here. No, simple. We're going to go like this. And then here we go. Hello, this is Pastor Scott Cruz from The Rock, and this is point 2 of the talk that was given last Sunday called Understated Excellence, and it's a metaphor looking at the Gerber artifact. And this part is called Simple, Not Complex. Simple gets done, complex doesn't. And I don't know about you, but for me, if something is a hassle, or it's too complex, or I gotta think about it too much, it just falls to the bottom of my priorities, and it doesn't get done. And at The Rock, we want to be simple. The Gerber artifact is simple. What it does well. It doesn't try to do everything. And but if you need a sharp blade, it is a wicked sharp little blade. And what it does is, it's very simple, and it just works. And so we want to have a church that goes after the idea. There's a book out there called Simple Church. And the secular version of Simple Church is a book called Good to Great. Now, they have nothing to do with each other, but the principles are the same. And boiled down, it comes to this: do less and do it better. If you decide to put your hand to it, do it well. And I believe it was Good to, maybe it's both of them. I don't remember which book I read it in. But when you're known for what you do. And so if you do 10 things with mediocrity, you just kind of do a halfway job, you'll be known as somebody who does things halfway. If you do just a couple of things with excellence, you'll be known as somebody that does things with excellence. And the way this plays down, now maybe for us, if we do 10 things poorly, and maybe we can do 2 things with mediocrity. I guess maybe you go just shoot to do your best. But what we strive for, though, is excellence. And this comes into play in a few different ways. It says that we're going to try to do less, but we're going to do it better. We want high quality, or maybe not high quality, but the highest quality that we can possibly produce. By being able to focus our energy, and we do that in a few different ways. Our music is that way. We're going to try to have a smaller vocabulary of songs, so we can do a better job on the songs. GE in the book Good to Great, it said that when Jack Welch took over GE, and he had his 6 sigmas, but one of the things that he did during that time that was highly controversial was he said, if we're not number 1 or number 2 in a market, we are selling that part of the business. And they sold lots of businesses, and some of those businesses were very profitable, but they weren't 1 or 2. And when they did that, their profits exploded, and they became way more dominant in those areas that they were 1 and 2. And the principle is this: if you try to do 10 things, you just can't do it as well. But if you focus your attention and focus your energy, you're going to do a much, much better job on fewer things. See, if we go out there and we do a bad job on something, people are going to look at that and they'll say, that's a church and that's a person that does a bad job. But if we go out and we only give them the good stuff to look at, in other words, what we put our hands to, we do with excellence. Those things are looked at and said, boy, this is what they're doing. It's sharp. They put it. It's excellent and effective. And I believe that that's what God wants for us. Steve Jobs, I read his biography, and he was not a nice person. He wasn't even a tech person. It was Steve Wozniak that actually invented the stuff that got Apple going. But Steve Jobs' genius was in his sense for design, and for his desire to make the complex simple. He would come out and reach down and touch a prototype, and if the edges weren't quite right, or the feel wasn't quite right, he'd say, this is crap, and he'd throw it down, except he wouldn't use the word crap. And he was a tyrant to work with, but he was a genius. A couple of years ago, Ingrid says at her work, a computer company, I guess I won't use the name, were selling, computers to this large group, so lots of computers, and they said, yeah, and coming out next year, we have a tablet computer that is going to be almost as good as the iPad. That was their sales pitch, almost as good as the iPad. Now, you might be an Android person, you might be an Apple person, but you cannot deny that Macintosh has a beautiful design on their products that are accessible to people. It's simple. They don't have that many products. You know, if you go to a PC, you can have every kind of shape, but if you want an Apple computer, you've got like just maybe half a dozen choices. And with some, you know, you can very limited, and everything, you know, they try to make it as hard as they can to work on it because they don't want people to mess with their design. Steve Jobs was just intense about that we control the hardware, we control the software, so we can give. Nobody can break our product. Nobody can mess with what we give. I want the Rock to be like that, where we focus our attention and that it's simple. It should be simple. Our missions, simple. Our giving, simple. Our messages, hopefully simple but profound and pushing you to be more Christ-like. All of these things that it would be simple, not complex. You want to know how to get involved at the Rock? It should be simple. And if it's not simple, we need to work very hard to make it simple. And so I hope you join me with that. Check us out on rockchurchnd.com, my personal page, scottjcruz.com. Facebook is Facebook.com/rockchurchnd. And please stay in touch. May the Lord richly bless you, and I hope to see you in church on Sunday.